Thanks so much, Nozuko, and good morning, colleagues. It's my simple but very happy role to introduce the student voices who are at the center of this session. I'm going to say a few words of introduction about the course that they took in the School of Arts last semester. And so I just want to see if our slides are playing. If I could ask for those on the screen, please. Wonderful. So we are basically presenting a project that this group of students who represent a larger cohort who took a course that I'll be introducing. We've called the project, the session Dream Roots, which is the title that they chose for an exhibition that they co-curated at the Origin Center at the end of last semester. And this course arises from a very unusual opportunity we've had at Wits over the last few years, and that is working with the Open Society University Network's opportunity to work across campuses in offering a course that is curriculated at Wits, but is also offered concurrently at the University of the Andes in South America, in Bogota, in Colombia, and also at Berlin, from Berlin in Germany. Now, OSUN is in the process of renaming itself the Global Higher Educational Alliance. And we think that given the theme of today's sessions in the conference, forward-looking models of teaching and learning in the university space, even looking at trans-geographical and cross-institutional collaborations. We've been working in the School of Arts since 2022 on co-offering a course that deals with the thematics of movement, migration, and diaspora, but tries to teach it through the medium of artistic expression. Now, this is a very deliberately cross and transdisciplinary project, and it stands out for us in the School of Arts in that it's pertinently not only offered to art students. The course is open to students from a wide range of backgrounds. At Bard College in Berlin, it's part of a liberal arts curriculum. At the University of the Andes, similarly. And one of the challenges we had at Wits when we became involved in the project was deciding at which level we should be offering it. We decided because of the many practical challenges of aligning different academic years with different time zones, with all kinds of different curricular structures, that we would experiment with offering this course as an extracurricular enrichment opportunity, and that we would open it to postgraduate students across the university. Perhaps someone wants to intervene and just prop up their piece again, it's fine. And we would be opening it to students from the honors through all postgraduate levels. And so over the 4 years we've offered the course, had students at honors, masters, PhD, and even some postdoc levels. And what the course basically does is it runs over the course of the first semester. Several sessions are offered jointly and in real time with students in Colombia and in Berlin. And other sessions are organized as the Wits group on its own. And the thematic is really to deal with probably one of the big social issues of our time, if not the most loaded political one, and that is, of course, migration. And we start from thinking about Johannesburg as a space created by migration. We speak about the specifics of labor migrancy in Johannesburg and how it has created whole genres of cultural expression. But we also work closely with colleagues in the African Center for Migration and Society, just around the corner here, in fact. And some of their senior researchers and professors have given us extraordinarily thought-provoking lectures on what it means to think about Joburg as a place of mobility rather than a place of coalescence. So what we basically did is that we had a comparative conversation about how migration was playing out in our respective locales. We spoke a lot about, against the background of Joburg's labor migrancy history, how internally displaced persons in Colombia are speaking to the experience of migrants in Germany. And the project is distinctive because it brings resources for us to enable students to interact with artists and to produce work. And this is, of course, a resource challenge for this kind of pedagogy. And so what we're able to do is not only bring guest lecturers to students, but sometimes take students to artists. And we found that a course about mobility that is itself mobile has been very generative for students. One of the opportunities we had last semester was to take the students to the Karoo, to the Journey to Jazz Festival. And there's something we realized about reflecting on mobility when one is away from Johannesburg in this class. And then, of course, the class had the challenge of working, most of them for the first time, in selecting a project that they would develop with an intellectual rationale, but it would take the form not of a class essay, but a work that they either made themselves or curated themselves. And so we had an exhibition at the Origin Center that they entirely co-designed and co-created. Here are some shots from our closing exhibition. And I do have to say that one of the most wonderful things about this class is the rapport that develops between the students and the kinds of peer learning that happens. And that is the point at which I'm going to hand over to them. So here is a list of the students who will be presenting today. We've agreed that I'm going to introduce Puleng, and he will introduce the rest of the presenting group. They'll each take a maximum of 5 minutes to speak to the projects that they've very rapidly brought into the space to share with us. We would like to invite you to come up and engage with them. Perhaps we should let them all present and then invite you closer, and then Nozuko can help us to manage the Q&A in the time available. Thank you so much, and over to Puleng.
Good morning. My name is Puleng. I did my undergrads in digital arts, where I majored in animation and game design, and now I'm pursuing a master's in the same field. My research focuses on digital art as an alternative to traditional hand-drawn animation. For my reflection, I'll briefly speak about what I learned in the OSUN Research Creation course, then end with my exhibition piece. Like everyone here, I signed up after receiving an email from Professor Brad. What drew me in was the title, Migration and the Arts. I wondered, how do migration and the arts actually connect? Having taken the course, that question has been answered. Migration is commonly defined as the movement of people from one place to another. But when you add the arts, migration also becomes about lived experiences, stories, and identities. We did 2 readings in the course. One was an article by Lauren Landau. 2 ideas that stood out to me from Landau's writing uh, is archipelagos of belonging and sense of being. By archipelagos of belonging, Landau refers to how we are part of a community even when separated geographically, just as islands in an archipelago are separated but still share resources. People form networks and connections across sites and places by circulating ideas, memories, goals, and relationships. By sense of being, he refers to how we craft diverse, fragmented, and often temporary connections and identities in response to our environment. Instead of one fixed home or identity, we create multiple islands of belonging. This does not only describe the life of migrants in Joburg, it also resonates with my queer identity. For the longest time, I felt I needed an identity that would be acceptable to the general public. If you are queer, then you know what I mean. That brings me to the art piece I created for our exhibition, which is a collage style mural. During the course, as the professor mentioned, we went on 2 excursions. Though I was only able to attend the first, we traveled by bus to Prince Albert. We left Wits early at around 6 and arrived at around 8 p.m. What stood out to me during that stay was the art, the jazz festival, the journeys to and from the festival, the gorgeous mountains and the sides, sitting together, sharing meals, and most importantly, getting to know one another. Without that trip, I don't think I would have had the courage to open up as much as I did. The stories you shared with me and the love you show for one another has been beautiful to witness. With my mural, I wanted to capture even just a piece of that experience. I put up my mural just there. It's titled Journey to Jazz. And now I'll pass the mic to the beautiful Miriam Liu, otherwise known as Mamorena, if you are brave enough.
Good morning, everyone. Was it still morning, afternoon? I'm not sure. My name is Miriam Mamorena Leo, and I am a MA candidate under the Cultural Policy and Management Department. Um, I created a mixed medium art piece as well as a poem, and I just want to get into the whole um, piece so I can give you the experience of how the exhibition went. The title of the poem is Traveling Soul. Traveling soul struggles to find her feet, settles on concrete sands and lamps for trees. Delayed dreams or delayed dreams with burdened realities of feeding mouths of aunts, uncles, mothers and fathers who care for children back home. Phone calls of hurt spewing that the city is not for girls who are meant to be wives. The history of our mothers has migrated into roots of independence and love from a man, a true fairy tale. The city threatens to swallow you with hope, excitement, fear, and peace. It is better to stay in a reimagined home. Traveling Soul, a piece weaving together the stories of women whose only means of survival is through the work of their hands. This artwork created was inspired by lectures, readings, and conversations, as well as art mediums of digital, drawing, photography, and poetry. My focus drew on spaces that hold room for migrant women. My lens focused on migrant women working in the beauty industry. I took images and had conversations with them to weave together a collage of images of their work and maps to locate their roots. This was then translated into Traveling Soul. In a lecture which discussed research based on projects concerned about African cities and looked at understanding voices from the ground up and archiving, Prof. Landau's findings revealed that migration is changing the way cities are viewed, and people part of migration have not been limited to city life. Another interesting point to note in Prof. Landau's findings is that females pose a threat in the city by breaking down family dynamics and pursuing more independent lives. Dr. Karima, reflecting on a project which involved 27 artists, one particular artist, focused on photographing women in the city from villages from who sorry about that. One particular artist who focused on photographing women from the city who had tattoos of their fathers on their arms. Their findings in their research highlighted my focus on migrant women in the inner city. Kihatu, who challenges the agency of women, states that migrant women who moved into the city spaces from traditional forms of patriarchy and suppression to an economy and urban areas state that the areas that are state controlled negotiate their everyday life. Um, Kihatu also adds that women migrant lives are complex realities that present women as victors, victims, visible, invisible, audible, and silent. Traveling Soul positions the migrant woman at the center and celebrates their agency through the powerful work of their hands. This piece was created in collaboration with self-taught artist Ayanda Twala and mixed medium artist Because Art. Yeah, so this is my piece and this is my journey. for the fact that I'm in cultural policy and management that just focuses on looking at policies and how organizations are managed, this was a breath of fresh air. Interacting with other students from different departments was also a breath of fresh air because it also expanded my research phase because I'm in my second year of research and it's busy with my proposal and presentations. So having this as an extracurricular course really just expanded my ideas on research creation and also expanding my conversations with the students who are in and around Wits University. And I'm going to hand it over to, thank you, Sirat. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sirat Lim, and I am a first year Master of Arts student in Digital Arts. I signed up for this course. I signed up for this course because I was interested in understanding and exploring the topic of migration through a creative, interdisciplinary lens. The opportunity to collaborate with students from other universities, particularly in different parts of the world, was also a major draw. I believe that understanding migration requires diverse perspectives, and this course seemed like the perfect way to engage with the subject in a meaningful and collaborative way. I created a digital artwork, the purple one, titled Women in Jazz, which explores the intersection of women, jazz, and migration in South Africa. My piece highlights the important role women played in using jazz as a form of resistance and as a way to build community. The music became a powerful vehicle for different racial groups and cultures to come together, particularly in spaces like Sophiatown, in the face of forced displacement and segregation during the apartheid era. From this course, I've learned about the complexities of migration, both globally and specifically in South Africa. I've gained a deeper understanding of how migration is not just a political or economic issue, but also a deeply human one, shaping personal identities, cultures, and societies. I learned about the concept of forced migration, a key part of South Africa's history, where policies like the Group Areas Act led to forced removal of people from their homes and communities. For instance, according to the South African History Online, it is estimated that over 3.5 million Black Africans were forcibly removed from their homes between 1960 and 1983. These removals were often tied to racial classifications and aimed to enforce racial segregation. The course also taught me about the different forms of migration, from internal rural urban migration to international displacement. I've also come to appreciate how art can be a powerful tool for expressing these complex realities and for generating new knowledge that goes beyond traditional academic research. The course also allowed me to learn about how the concept of genocide and the mass murder of Palestinian civilians is used by scholars, activists, and human rights organizations to describe Israel's actions in Gaza. This emphasizes the severity and intentionality behind the displacement and destruction, highlighting a critical point of focus for discussions about migration and human rights. Looking ahead, I believe that the Wits School of Arts should maintain and extend courses that are interdisciplinary and collaborative. The opportunity to work with students um, from different disciplines and universities is invaluable. The international collaboration with Bard College and the University of Los Andes Andes was particularly enriching. If possible, I would love to see this aspect extend to include physical exchange programs, allowing students to travel and experience the cultural and social contexts of migration in other countries firsthand. This would provide an even deeper, more immersive understanding of the topic and would strengthen the bonds of the global academic community. The hands-on, project-based approach culminating in a creative presentation should also be maintained as it provides a practical and impactful way to apply theoretical knowledge. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nolwazi Mbali Mahlangu, and I was doing my honors in drama therapy and not MA. So in my honors, my research was on cultural dissonance, and My work explores the intersections of art, migration, and embodied memory, asking how the body and objects can carry stories, and in this case, of displacement and belonging. So, the reason I signed up for this class was because I looked at migration as not just a theme. At first, I didn't know that migration meant I thought that migration meant you're moving from the United States to South Africa. You have to go somewhere far for it to be considered migration. And in this class, I learned that it is not. As an artist, I wanted to know how the arts can open up a space to speak about migration, not just through statistics or politics, but through things like movement, gesture, and symbolic objects. The piece I created was created using the Machangan bag, or what most people know as the Ghana Must Go. For me, this bag was more than plastic and zipper. It was an archive of migration, of survival, and the homes we carry when borders do not welcome us. My title was Dipurwane, Fragile Do Not Unpack. The bag turned into a van en route to Zimbabwe, and it was filled with everything that makes a home: clothes, papers, memories, small things that are not small when you must leave. The piece asked, how does one pack an entire life into a bag? What is chosen and what is left behind? Um, yeah, from this course, I learned that migration is embodied, and I believe that vets should continue to offer and expand on courses like this. And for my reflection, I'm gonna share an excerpt of my script that I finished while we were busy with the course. Um, Here goes. Woman, you want coordinates then? Start at this place. This place. I am 7, and I ask my mother if I too will be remembered by the river. She tells me she will whisper to the reeds in case of amnesia, cautions that I do not give it away, even when offered a country. And I promise. Next, there is a burning in my calves from all the walking, a flat road, miles and miles of nothing. My feet cracked open, taught topography, growth pains of geography. Where you see muscle, I see memory. A boy tried to sell me pills for sleep. I didn't sleep that night. And this is where the Goma Goma ran. We waded into the no man's land until dark. She finishes. He stops. The marker drops. Both look at the image they just created. A trapezoid with loops, suggesting the iconic Ghana Must Go bag, or alternatively, a small pitched roof house. When crossing over, names are the first thing you take away from us. They are the currency of claim. Me giving up my name is agreeing to pay the price. I am not willing. Not here, not now. Like many where I'm from, I arrived here on the water. On my heels, dogs, not mine. Not pets. No animals, no livestock at home. I left the chain, the collar, the thing that binds. There was a parting of the red couch, sea foam guts spilled onto the floor, and that is all I left. Who I am, left there. February 1983. Born in Nigeria to Ghanaian parents on a Sunday. Sundays are for lovers, not xenophobia. Sir, let me speak plainly then. I come from a generation of a floating populace. I have a daughter who won't eat goat meat because she believes that it is not just meat. To eat it is to answer. I planted cabbage in my backyard. I loved a man who surrendered to the water. He died somewhere in the neck of the river, where it gulps, chokes on its own depth. I did not see it, only felt it in my wrists. My breasts ached. I knew the water took him. He was trying to send money, or come home, or be a man. I have crossed rivers where my previous selves floated belly up like dead fish. I have stolen bread from a starving child. A child is dead. I am still here. He died before the bread finished, before the border arrived. Yes, I believe in water miracles, and I am scared of crocodiles. There, you know me now. Thank you, Danielle.
Hello, everyone. Here we go. Hello, everyone. So my name is Danielle, and I did my work on the Ponte Tower and I'm going to read you a speech. Okay. So, my name is Danielle Pichet, and I have a quick story for you all about why I decided to take this course and what it means to me. For context, I'm studying masters in psychological research. So, for the past 5 years, psychology has been my focus and my goal. And through my degree, I've developed a love for research. However, one of my lifelong passions has always been art, making art, art history, music, poetry, you name it. But these are things I felt that needed to be put on hold for my degree. After visiting the Science Museum at the beginning of the year, I realized again how important art is to me and how I needed to, in some way, find time to incorporate it back into my life. When I got the email to apply to be a part of this program, it really felt like something I needed to do, and I'm so glad that I did. What this course reminded me is that art isn't just about creating something beautiful, it's about creating meaning. Art makes space for stories that might otherwise be forgotten and allows us to see the world from someone else's perspective. Where psychology seeks to understand people's thoughts and behavior through data, art reaches us on a deeply human level, sometimes saying more in a single image or performance than words ever could. The theme of this course, Migration in South Africa, is especially powerful because it's not an abstract idea. It's part of our history, our politics, and our daily lives. Migration shapes our cities, our families, and our identities. And yet, it is often spoken about only in terms of statistics or policy. Through this course, I learned that art gives us another way to understand migration through emotion, through lived experience, and through memory. It breaches the gap between personal stories and a collective history. Working on the Ponte Tower project really brought this home for me. Ponte is more than just a building. It's a symbol of movement, displacement, resilience, and possibility. It holds the story of so many people who came to Johannesburg searching for something better, and through art, I had a chance to honor these stories. Personally, I learned so much from this process. I learned to slow down and look at the world with a different lens, not just the analytical lens of research, but the interpretive lens of art. I learned how art and psychology can actually complement one another. Both are about understanding people, their struggles, their resilience, and their capacity for change. And most importantly, I learned that art has the power to connect us, to start conversations, and to remind us of our own shared humanity. That's why I'm so grateful I took this course. It didn't just bring art back into my life, it reminded me of why art matters and how it can shape the way we see ourselves and each other. Thank you. I'll hand over to my friend Abby now.
Thank you so much. So we have two more pieces, and one of the opportunities that was unanticipated by offering this course as an extra curriculum possibility was that we had a member of our professional and administrative staff at the university write to me asking whether she could take the course. And I'm so glad that Abigail Johnson is with us today to present some of her work.
Good day, everyone. My name is Abigail Johnson. I work as a receptionist at administrated at Wits Development Pathways. It's a research company, right? Even though I am a staff, not a student, I joined this course because I wanted to learn through art, which I love, and see how it connects to migration. Why I signed up for this course. On Friday, I received an email about this course, sponsored by OSUN at first. I thought it was only for students, but it was for open staff too. I emailed Professor Pyper, and I would like to thank him sincerely for allowing me to join. What really drew me in was the question, where does art fit into migration? So my artwork, I have to come forward. Okay, this is my piece. Okay, my piece is called Threads of Opportunity, a South African story in a context of migration. At the top, The world map reminds us migration is it's a global story. The African map shows how borders divide but also connect us. The South African maps focus on Sipo's migration and story in the Khoisan. The embroidery and colors represent resilience in the way migrants weave themselves into new places, creating new identities and connections. Okay, let me go back. What I learned through the course, including our excursion to Prince Albert, I learned how people used art to tell their migration story. Some who fled war, some who were forced to leave their homes, and many who faced hunger and hardship. Yet, what inspired me most was how many of those same migrants overcame struggles and are now celebrated. It shows me how art is not only about beauty, but also about survival and hope. For the future, I believe courses like this should continue at Wits because they allow us to continue creativity with real world issues. It should definitely be maintained and even extended. With more staff and students given the chance to take part, it connects history, culture, and personal experience in a way that textbooks alone cannot. Closing, my closing. Through this course, in my artwork, I learned that migration is both personal and historically. It is about individuals like Sipo, but also communities like the Khoisan. Most importantly, I discover how art can be powerful voice to tell migration stories. Thank you to Professor Brett Pyper and OSUN for this opportunity. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Abby. And our last presenter is Matapelo Matabane. So for that, if I could just ask that we move to her presentation. And Matapelo, I'll give you the mic, but we'll just need your instructions, please, as to when to scroll down in the PDF.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Matapelo. Oh, sorry. My name is Matapelo Matabane, and I am registered for my master's degree by research at the music department. And my research subject is Pinisa Soul, and my topic is the hidden voices behind the mic, behind Pinisa Soul's mic, both home, exile, and forging solidarities in two South African jazz scenes. Now, the reason why I chose Panisi, because I had not heard of Panisa Soul's voice until my then supervisor introduced me to her. And when our paths had to separate, and I landed now in the hands of Prof. Brett Pyper, and not long after being in his hands, I get this email like everybody else in the team, and it says, you know, giving us the opportunity to join the OSUN program. And I thought, this is interesting because my subject person migrated from within the country and as well explored her music venture outside because she had to be exiled during the apartheid regime. I think we can move the slides if it's okay. So she's originally from, we can, oh sorry, I just wanted to show the exhibition that we had at the in May, yes. But we can move to the next, yes. So she's originally from East London in Mdantsane. And what I love about her journey is that she moved alongside her brothers and sisters, or brothers rather, because she seemed to be the sister in the clan of artists who moved from Tanzania to Johannesburg. You know, Nick Moyane was one of the peers that she traveled with in music, and the sounds and you know, I just remembered how the sounds, how every living organism moves. There's nothing that is alive that is still. You know, even the sound creates movement, and the sound, the voice of music moved them to Johannesburg and then into London in the UK. And what I loved about this experience is the solidarity amongst my peers, the motion, the respect, the love that we all shared, you know, throughout the different scenarios of our trip. And even coming back, we got stuck with the bus and we were trapped in, well, yes, Aberdeen for I think 12 hours, you know. But the rapport that remained with us was just so admirable because we actually moved like a family. And it reminds me of how Panisa moved with her family, with Tutu Pukwana, with Lakirangu, you know, with the late the last person she worked with who's still alive is Adam Glesser, you know. So there's just so much that one really explores in moving as a unit. You know, we cannot jazz is not something that is performed in isolation, even though a singer may be standing with a mic, but there is other instrumentalists around her in support. Even myself, I had the recording of, you know, the backing track, you know, so there isn't unity, love, respect will move us and shift us. And these programs really help us to unite and to cross borders that are created. There isn't a restriction that I must stay with the music department. I was able to be granted an opportunity to meet so many others that, you know, we were able to share this amazing journey. Thank you for
Colleagues, please come down and just look at the artworks we've got about 10 minutes. And if you've got questions, please indicate that you have a question. Online, Fatima, are there any questions? Okay. So you have a question, okay. Yes, please. Please go ahead, Rita, and then use that gentleman at the back.
Sure.
Thanks.
Congratulations. And I think it's rather unfortunate it was an extracurricular course. And given the rich learnings that was happening and how that's also transferred onto us, you know, I think many of us will walk out also looking at migration a bit differently from the stories we've heard. Brett, I think it's that example of the interprofessional curricula at play here. And my question is, when are we going to be brave enough to push back and make it part of the formal curricula?
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if it's a question or a comment, or a concern. I don't know. But firstly, I just want to say, Professor Brett, I don't know why I missed the email. Next year, I want the email too next year. Why am I saying that? Mainly because migration and the arts, I'm looking at ethnography, autoethnography, archiving, anthropology. I'm missing that, and the belonging. Brene Brown talks about belonging, and also the buildings as archive. You know, because there's a reading that says buildings reflect wider stories of political or social change, and they have stories to tell about significant events too. So I'm like, yes, we need that. And of course, movement and gestures, Nolo, as you spoke about them, and automatically my mind ran to viewpoints by, who's this, Anne Bogart. I'm also looking at dance ethnography and border crossing. Professor Christopher Odiambo talks about that. Let's match all those things. And I'm going to quote myself in my honors paper. I was asking this question: how can one be and feel rooted even when far away from home? That's belonging. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Please respond.
Okay, maybe I'll respond in reverse order. So thanks so much, Moiketsi. I think next time we need to have you as a co-lecturer. The faculty registrar helped us to send emails to all graduate students in the faculty, but I know there's so many emails. It's one of the risks of our lives. So I hope that there'd be a future opportunity to work together. And you've given many examples of where this intersects with other work happening. So we would really welcome that. Rita, thanks for your question. So this question about the curricular versus the extracurricular is, of course, very important for us. Sort of by stealth, I also actually have started experimenting with offering students who were taking a course with me the option of actually opting into our process for curricular benefit. But ultimately, one would want a course like this to work, and for credit. The challenge there is that the Bard College curriculum is directed to undergraduates in a liberal arts model, and our professional degrees don't quite harmonize with that. So I think at the pedagogical level, at the creative level, the synergies are powerful, but it's another example of how the bureaucratic structures of accreditation and degree completion might mitigate against it. But it's certainly worth struggling with, I think.
Perhaps I should first thank the team. Thank you very much. This was brilliant. I mean, I'm buzzing right now. And the diversity in the team is just so great. And the stories you're all telling, even though you're telling like similar stories, but you're telling them in a very different way. So we really appreciate that. We don't have much time, but I wouldn't like us to waste this time with us not having time to have a look at your works, because you moved this whole exhibition just for us to see it. So I would like to just thank you and close, and then give everyone an opportunity to come down and have a look, and then the next speaker can come in. If you, yes.
I think it's extremely fascinating that the course was also opened up to the professional staff at Wits.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, that's a big lesson for all of us to take, how we could open up more space, because it's there, it's happening, and we have people on the side who would really love to be on the inside.
Yes.
Thank you.
True. Thank you. Any comments on the chat? No, there are no questions on the chat. Okay, so please, we can go ahead. Thank you.